Alright, so in this tutorial, I'm going to go over importing your first assets into your scene. So for example, alright, let's go bring this guy here. Alright, now I'm gonna look for something. Let's tree stumps, fallen tree stumps. I'm gonna look at my preview. I like this. I want that. So let me go back a level. Please don't give me a problem. Alright, good. Now, can I download this as a set? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so this is a LOD, level of detail, FBX. I don't know if there's a way to download the whole thing, because right now I'm the moderator, so it's a little bit different. There might be, not sure, but regardless, so taking it one step at a time, I'm gonna click on that. I hope it's the same on the student end. I'm gonna click on download because this is a LOD. That's the level of detail for the model. FBX, that's your clue. That's a 3D model. Download. Alright, it downloaded it. And I know that this is a nature tree. Okay. Here it is. I'm gonna right click and go cut. And I'm gonna go to source default under the Maya folder directory. You know, defaults, Maya projects, default. Okay. So again, default documents, Maya projects, default. I'm gonna save it under assets. I'm gonna right click, paste, and I'm gonna right click, new folder. I'll name it, I don't know, fallen tree asset. I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna dump it in there, so it's in here. Since it's gonna be your since this is gonna be your asset anyway, might as well just name it fallen tree. LOD 0. 0 meaning there was no, it hasn't been refined to be a lower quality. So I dumped it in there. Then carefully, I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna start downloading its textures. Albedo, it's a weird sounding name. Basically, it's its color. I'm gonna press download. It's downloading. I'm gonna open up the folder. I'm gonna right click, cut, go to assets or source image. No, here, this is where you can get to hiccups. Should I just dump the thing in here in the source images, you know, or I could just dump it into assets under the fallen tree asset in here. I mean, I could do that. It's under assets. I mean, either way, I have to set up a directory for it, you know, because, you know, even if I put the textures here, Maya will still be smart enough that when you plug it in into the shader, it'll link it from the assets. It's not gonna just directly go to the source images folder. So I guess you could do it that way. You just have to make sure that if you're to take this work home, grab all the folders from the assets folder, like this one, and dump it onto either an external hard drive or a USB stick, or onto, attachment for your email. You have to be really precise about this if you want to take this home. But if you're going to work on the lab computer, the one that you're sitting on, you don't have to worry about that. But chances are you're going to have to work this on home, so you have to pay attention to this. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to dump the model, the 3D model, and the texture in here into assets. That's for me. You could do whatever you want to do, but for me, I'm just going to do that. One side note, yeah, so for the textures, you need to carry your textures if you want to work at home, but you do not need the model. You do not need the model. Only the textures are going to be linked to the shader. The model is not linked to the project. Once you dump the model into the project, it's in. You don't need anything to link it to. So yeah, not only that, but the models are small, usually small file sizes, so you don't have to worry about things getting too big. Anyway, yeah, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a folder, dump all my assets into the assets folder along with the textures. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So, all right, so I downloaded a color. Here's the normal. Basically, normal means I'm gonna download, and I'm going to right click, cut, source images, default. I'm just going back in the hierarchy, assets, okay, default assets, because under default you have all these folders, right? Hopefully no one is gonna get confused. Defaults, right, here it is. Here's my assets. Here we are again. And under fallen tree, right click, paste. So normal means I'm gonna click on it. All this crazy stuff, it means that all these color variations means it means depth in terms of lighting and shading, I believe. Basically, it's faking shadows and elevated surfaces through a flat image. Yeah, so there's that. It makes a big difference. All right, so that roughness. All right, download the roughness. I'm going to discuss that later. Here's my roughness. It's saved to my downloads folder. I'm going to right click, cut. I'm going to cut it out of there. I'm going to go source images. All right. But I'm going to go back a ladder to default. Because before we were in source images, I don't want to put in source images. I want to go to assets. Fallen tree. Right click, paste. You know what? I'm going to grab my fallen tree. If you have a PC, you could just dump it onto a quick link. Fallen tree assets. Or if you're working on the Mac, you do what you gotta do in terms of making a direct, fast link. If not, just cut and paste. All right, so roughness, we did that. I got the 3D model. This is just a preview. I don't need that. All right, move this out of the way. So here's my scene. It's really dark. I want to go to shading, use default material, so I can kind of see a little bit better. Okay. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. I'm gonna go. The quickest way you can do this is where, close, 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 and I'm gonna grab my folder here. All right. Will it be on a Mac or PC? Here's a folder. All right. Again, documents, Maya, projects, default, assets, fallen tree asset. I'm gonna grab it from here. I'm gonna just drag and drop. Ta-da! And that's my FBX. That's your clue to know that this is a 3D model. And it's only 675 kilobytes. So it's not that big at all. I'm gonna select it. Right now, you could wonder what's going on. It's huge. So for every model, there's gonna be variances in size. If you look in the outliner, this is what it is. It's grouped. I don't know why it's just grouped. I'm gonna go into my channel box here. Here it is. Okay. I don't need this group, so I'm just gonna select it. I clicked on this small plus sign. It opens it, and it contains this. I'm just gonna middle mouse, grab it, yank it out. This I don't need anymore. I don't want to confuse students any more than need to be. Alright, so here's my 3D model. It has a name. I'm just gonna name it Fallen Tree Model and press enter, and it changed. Now if you notice, it looks kind of weird. It's triangulated. That's fine. I'm just gonna press R as in Robert to get ready to scale. And right now it's set to 1. I'm gonna select all of it, press maybe 0.5 to half of it. Still pretty big. Let me change it to 0.1. Okay, 0.1 is getting there. I'm still set to scale. I'm gonna scale from the middle and drag it up. Maybe something like that. Press W, pull it up a bit. Ooh, stop it. Alright. Maybe press R again to just scale it down so that it fits. Alright, I'm zooming in. W. See how much I need to pull down. Okay. Because of the uneven surface. I'm going to pull back a bit. Like that. I'm going to rotate it. Press E as in Edward to rotate. And carefully yank on this axis. There you go. Don't just start free willy just like pulling. You're going to do this. Just make sure you know which axis and just gently pull. And you'll see it over here on the rotate. Only in the Y rotate is rotating. Press W. And maybe like that. Fit it in, something like that. Maybe scale it back up a bit so it kind of fits the, maybe pull it back down. Always scale from here. Do not scale this, this, or this, or this, or this, or that. Just from the middle only. Alright, so I'm pretty sure it fits. W to move it a bit. Okay, good. Yeah. This makes it look like this is a huge piece of land. Might need to be aware of that for students, because your texture has to match your object in terms of visually the scaling of it visually. Alright, so anyway, I dumped it in. I'm gonna maybe put it here, press E for Edward, maybe rotate it some more, do something like that maybe. I'm gonna hit R, just scale it back up so I can mess around like that. Press W, and then pull it there, right there. Let me zoom in. Yeah, that should be good. And when we add the grass, it'll just hide a lot of things too that might be sticking out by accident. All right, there. All right, I'm cool with that. So there we go. We put it in. We named it. Okay. Here's my dome light. All right. Everything's labeled, which is important. Even the physical sky has its own layer. I'll just hide it for now. I don't like it completely dark. All right, MicroWorld cube. Okay. grab the tree, press this button, right, to dump it in there. Double click here, right, because we made a new layer, right. Go back in, press underscore, fallen underscore tree underscore. This menu doesn't like spaces, so I use underscore. Save. All right, there. Now I'm gonna bring over my hypershade. So I already got some things going on. I'm gonna press this, the one with the 3 stars, clear graph. Now I don't know what shader is this fallen tree, but I made sure to select the fallen tree, and I'm gonna press this icon. That's gonna pull up the shader for it. It says default material. A lot of times these models come with a base shader. I guess this one's just default material. Here it is. This is not a Arnold shader. Again, this is not a Arnold shader. I think this is one of Maya's old-fashioned shaders. We're not going to use that. We're going to apply a Arnold shader, specifically the standard surface, which I have under my favorites. If you haven't set this up, please do. In here, I'm going to press the tab key, as in tab. I'm going to type in AI standard surface. That's how you can click on it and make it appear, make one, instead of digging through all this. So I'm gonna move this out of the way, and I'm going to grab my tree. Okay, I have it grabbed. Make sure it's selected. Under this new shader I made, I'm gonna hover over it. I'm not gonna click on it. Do not click on it. You click on it, you're gonna lose the model. Hover over it, right click. Again, right click, assign material to viewport selection. I'm holding the right click right now. I'm not letting go. Assign. It should be assigned. To double check, I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to click on it, right click, and hold. I'm going to select objects with the material. Okay, I can verify I assigned it. Please be mindful of this. I've had several students thinking they assigned the shader, but they did not. And that's how we do it. I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna type in fallen tree shader. All right, there. Now we need to assign our textures to it. I'm tired of moving this around, so I'm going to grab it and there. There we go. I don't need my outliner for now. There. So I have my attribute editor. What the hell? This is. Alright, sometimes when you click on the attribute editor, you'll see this stuff. All this stuff, it does not look like the shader ball, right? This has to do with the 3D model and things about the 3D model. I'm gonna go over this later. Just 1 or 2 options related to the UV mapping. But if I click on here, now it changes. All right, so let me pull this back a bit. So here we are. I'm going to click on that, though, make sure. Okay. And I don't need any. Well, should I mess with this, the specular? You know what? Let's dump the color onto here. So under base, color, click on the little checkerboard. When I do that, again, this will pop up. I need to check file. So what's happening is that you need a container to put into your put your texture into that container. So this is that container. That container is now linked to the color, the base color. Right now there is nothing in here. It's completely black. This little guy, which I explained before, this little utility thing, it just allows you in here, all these crazy numbers and stuff, to repeat and tile your texture like 2-3 times, 5,000 times, whatever. Just don't mess with it. Go back in here, file 1. You know what? I'm just gonna name it right now. Fallen tree texture. Okay, nothing's in here. Under image name folder, click on that. I'm going to go. I remember I didn't put my source images. I remember I put it into my assets folder. Let's go to in here, current project, default, assets. Click on that. So now I'm in my assets directory folder, fallen tree asset, double click. Here we are. Albedo, which is the color. Open. All right, now it's assigned. You just don't see it here. If I go to shading, uncheck default material, meaning uncheck the use default. Now we have it. All right, there. Wow, that's nice. All right, so I added the color. Now, I guess I'll do a quick render. I just have to make sure to turn back on my physical sky. I mean, its visibility because I have it hidden. All right. Well, if I go lighting, use all lights. Yeah, that doesn't work. Use flat lights. I guess you could do that for now, just to at least see what's going on for a bit. Don't mind this. It's just a shader. Lighting. Use two-sided. Whatever. Yeah, you know, use two-sided. Just don't mind me. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna do a render. Check this thing right here. Open render view. I'm gonna yank this over. And I'm gonna pause it for now. Alright, so I did the render. Here it is. Now here it is, as you can see, but you see all this stuff that makes it look like plastic and it's just ugly. So we're gonna fix that. But we have it here. Alright, so as you can see, this tree, the size of it compared to the texture, it's a bit, I don't know. Maybe if I add this thing should be way bigger than this texture. Yeah. But I'll still use it for now. I don't want to just redo another tutorial. So, alright, so here it is. I'm gonna fix the shiny glossiness. Let me press that to save. Move it out of the way. And I want to lock the camera for now. This thing right here, so I don't move it accidentally. The render settings are all set to default. So everyone, I'm at baseline like everyone else. I'm gonna select my fallen tree because I got some other stuff going on. You see now I have this base default material, and now you can see that I'm starting to build up stuff. I'm gonna go to edit, delete unused nodes. Remember this, edit, delete unused nodes, because you're gonna start to pile up a lot of shaders, and now it's gone. That other material that was here, because it's not being used, but everything else is. Okay, I'm gonna click on that. I need to see it in the attribute editor. You could do Control A, and then, all right, under specular and under color. All right, color means the color of its shininess. Weight means the strength of its shininess. Right now I put it to 0, so there's no shine. Put it to 1, it's a 100% reflective. Change the color to like pink, now it's pink. Change it back to white. Now, under roughness, meaning how rough or fuzzy the reflection is gonna be. See how it changed and more fuzzy? So I'm gonna, come on, undo it. Under roughness, I'm going to click on the checkerboard, go to my file. All right, so it linked my little file box or container, file 1. I'm going to click on it in there. Okay, I'm going to click on that right there. I'm going to type in fallen tree roughness, enter. Fallen tree roughness. Always name it. Sounds like a hassle, but you need to name it because you just do. Because if you don't, you're gonna drive yourself crazy later. So sorry, I remember I put it under assets, fallen tree, and my roughness. See, this is gonna dictate how, I guess, the shininess of it. You know, but you could ask, why would you want the tree to have any shininess, right? Because it's not made out of metal. Why would it have any shine? It's more than that. Now it comes down to just the overall look of the model, you know, not necessarily how shiny it is. I know it sounds confusing, but it just is. I did a lot of tests to verify it. Anyway, roughness, here it is. And just a side note, here is my .tx. This is what happens when you do a render. Arnold will generate this thing. I don't want to get into it, but I talked about it before. Just leave it alone. So I got that. I'm gonna hit open. Now, oh, it's doing a render. Okay, I did a render. All right, good. Ooh, wow, look at that. So it did that. Before, really ugly, and you got this stuff, this, and after. And then you hit that to save a snapshot. Okay, good. Okay, so we have our the color. Okay, we have our roughness, and finally for our normal map. Normal map, basically it fakes the lighting around the object's surface as well as the shading and basically like the cracks and crevices, and that more or less like that. You know what, let me just plug it in, grab it, and we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna press tab, AI, what is it, AI normal, AI normal map. Okay, I pressed tab, brought it up, you type in AI normal. It made it it made a node for it, and I need to connect the texture container to it. So I'm gonna press tab. I'm gonna type in file because it's a file texture. Here's the container it made. You know, things that you're getting more and more familiar with. Under file, I have it selected. I'm gonna type in as fallen tree normal map. Fallen tree normal map. Okay, I named it. Nothing's in here, that's why it's black. I'm gonna go into the folder. I'm gonna go to assets, fallen tree assets, normal. I pumped it in. Then I have it selected. Under its attribute editor, fallen tree normal map, don't mess with this, that is that. Click on that, that is that. Under color balance, which probably will be closed, I'm gonna pop it open. Turn on alpha's luminance. Well, no, that's for bump maps. Yeah, yeah. Don't ignore that. Now I need to connect my texture, my normal map JPEG texture input. Okay, input. I'll color into input. All right, so I'll color into the normal map input. Well, out value into the normal. Okay, so the normal map, it's out color to the input. Normal map node, it's out value to the normal camera of the fallen tree shader. I'm gonna bring this over. I'm gonna do a render, but before I render, you know what? Let me put this to 0. So we have a baseline. Render. Okay, so this is with nothing, with no normal map influencing it. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna go back here. This is the strength. I'm gonna set it to, I don't know, 1 or maybe a 0.5, half. Okay. I'm gonna go back here, render, update full scene. Alright. Here's our mistake. Not our mistake, but this is how it will look like by default. It's a common thing. I'm gonna save it. And here's how we fix that. We're gonna turn on, I'm gonna turn on IPR. And I'm gonna invert, I'm gonna turn this off. Tangent space. Okay, so it did something. From here to here. It's too dark. We're gonna invert X. Alright. From that to this. Then we're gonna invert Z. So did that. Then let's invert Y. It's gonna do that. Ooh. Alright. Okay. Alright, there. So originally it was like this. Now we're like this. So this was before, after the initial setup. And then let me save this now. This is our end result. Before, after, after. Before, after. Okay. Let me see if let me experiment some more. Turn that off. Maybe that. Maybe that. That. Right, that is with it off. Okay. Alright. Could do that. Before, after. Yeah, that's better. Alright. So this was before and this is after. So let me shut that off, kill that. Here's our original and after. I'm gonna do a snapshot before, after. What I did was, with the fallen tree shader, inside of it, we set the strength to 1, uncheck everything. Then that other mistake will go away. Okay, so that's the AI normal map. The funny thing is that depending on the shader and the texture, it's not always going to be like this. And sometimes problems might not even arise, but there are times problems will arise. So if that's the case, then you know, you after you plug everything in, and if it looks weird like how it did, then you just, I guess, yeah, don't mess with that just yet. But you start unchecking everything and go step by step, one by one, and then just see which one works out the best. That's literally what you just gotta do. The XYZ has to do with the XYZ tangent spacing in the world, in the 3D world, in terms of the facing of the tangents. Trying to describe tangents, that's another chapter. But for now, you could uncheck everything and go step by step. And check and uncheck, like how I did before, and see which one you like the best in terms of look-wise. So here was before, and with everything unchecked, and some checking, unchecking, I think, you know what, this will work. Before and after. Okay. And I also mess with the strength. So that's at strength 1. If I set the strength to 0.5, which is half, this is what it looks like at half. So let me save it. So there's before with nothing. This is at full strength at 1. This is at half strength at 1. I mean half strength at 0.5. So before and 0.5. You know what? 0.5 is better than full on strength at 1. 0.5. So you get the best of both worlds. Yeah. So you could leave at 0.5. So overall, main things to look at: the strength, and when you see those patch marks happening, those rough lines out of nowhere, just start unchecking all of this and checking on and off one at a time. And that's your normal map. And like I mentioned before, using the tab button, pulling these guys up. Okay.